Hey, Manuel Rodriguez here. Thank you for showing up again to the Trumpeters podcast here. I want to talk a little bit today, but in case if you're interested, um, if you want to do a lesson with me, a private Zoom lesson, send me a message. I would love to help you, however you need help with. Uh, but if not, I've got some tips here, a few minutes for you. Hope this helps you. My whole goal is to help you so it's all about playing trumpet, life, uh, the soul and the spirit. That's what we're here to talk about. So that's what it's all about. Because that's what Don't let the trumpet. Don't let the trumpet. Don't let the trumpet. Let me say that again. Don't let the trumpet make you become the slave to it. Okay. It's not. It's not the trumpet that makes it happen. Really, it's you that makes it happen. So you have to do what you have to do. You're the trumpet player first before the trumpet's put on your lip. Okay, I said something there. So anyway, but if you get that, in the whole scope of the later on, I'm going to talk about imaginations. Okay, and what I mean by imagination is you imagining yourself playing. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. See, I want to talk a little bit more today about your sound or the sound. And I have a few things here written down. You have to know which sound you want. I talked about this earlier in earlier podcasts. Do you want a round sound, a pointed sound, a presence weight sound, like you want a big fat sound? What kind of sound are you looking for? I'll say it again. Round sound, a pointed sound, or a weighted sound. Those are only two really that I can think of. Maybe you could think of some more. But those are the three that I can think of off the top of my head. And so what makes up the sound? hmm I know you got a question. What makes up the sound? It's like when you're teaching music, are you teaching music to teach music or you're using theory? Because when you use music, then you could understand, the progression of music, from a one to a five, and what notes is involved as you're going, like in improv, from a one to a five, and what notes work, what notes don't work. I mean, they all work really, but that's another subject. But anyway, so you got to put them all together. You got to know where you're going. So, what makes up sound? Okay, what makes up sound is resistance, vibration, and the receiver. Okay, so the receiver is here. The receiver is here. The whole mouthpiece is the receiver. So you have to know that it's a signal. Sound is a signal. Like I said, it's a receiver. It's also an amplifier. Okay, sound is an amplifier. When you make a sound, you amplify the announcement. As trumpet players, we amplify the announcement of what it is or what's going on. So, do you have a sound? Are you listening to your sound? So, sound is made from resisting the flow of air into the mouthpiece. Okay, so you resist that air. Either you're gonna or it's you're resisting by tightening up your lips. That's what you do. So it causes your lips to vibrate. Okay, so that's what sound is. So the sound of a signal, like I said earlier, it's a sound of the receiver, which is the mouthpiece, of course, and of course then the stream of the air through the instrument as the amplifier. So you need to know which sound you want. Okay, be present. Uh, there's nothing more important than your sound. Say that to yourself. There's nothing more important to my sound than my sound. What is my sound? So, you got to get your sound together. You gotta sing every day. Ah, ba da 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 da. You got to hear that sound as a trumpet. And what is it that you hear? So a strong sound is developed um, through sound to make it effective. And so what is the goal? Okay, flow sound is the atmosphere. Okay, the flow of the sound is the atmosphere, like what's going on in your room. You have to think like a producer. If you think like an individual as a trumpet player when you're playing with a group, then you're thinking about you. And yes, you gotta get it right. You gotta get all the notes and all the licks and everything that you've practiced to that day, okay, for that moment or that performance or that worship service in your church, whatever it is that you do, all of that has to be in play. Um, but you have to think about what's going on around you. So when you think as a producer, you're thinking about all the different sounds, the strings, the drums, the singers, the other instruments, the guitar, acoustic guitar, is it electric guitar, acoustic guitar, bass, piano, is the piano playing just EP, electric piano, or is he playing acoustic piano? Where does your sound fit in everything that's going on? If there's a sax player, there's a trombone player, there's a French horn player, whatever it is. So you have to put yourself in the scope as a producer to be able to fit your sound right when it needs to be sounded. Okay? So be sure that you know what it is that you want. So again, I'm going to go back to the beginning. So do you want a round sound, a pointed sound, or do you want a presence sound? And what I mean by presence is a weighted sound. Okay, a presence weight sound. I know that's not good English. But anyway, I'm not an English major. But anyway, so a presence being that like you're there, it's there. Or you want the sound to be round. It's the difference between round and presence. You want it to be round, you're thinking about maybe just, a certain area in that atmosphere that you want to project, okay? Or you want it pointed where you're. When I say pointed sound, I'm talking about you making a certain announcement. It sticks out because you have to make an announcement. Maybe it's a solo, maybe it's just a certain run, and it's pointed. And it's got to be precise. It's got to be direct. It's got to be right on point, right? So that's what I mean by pointed sound. A presence weighted sound, you're talking about the sound filling up the whole room, the whole with all the other instruments, okay, that all of you are together, and that you're together with them, not them together with you. Well, anyway, because I'm talking trumpet players, okay, because we tend to want to blow out the sound. We tend to want to just push it all out, and it's not like that. The way it is um, you being present as a producer, a present sound to be able to reflect everything. So remember, so sound is a sign. It's also received through a receiver, the mouthpiece, and it's also amplified. So you amplify it, in other words, you put weight to it. Excuse me, it's the airstream into the horn that you're concentrating on and what it is that you're amplifying, which is of course the trumpet. You're the trumpet player. The trumpet is the amplifier that's in you. So remember, you're the one that makes a difference to your horn. There's a lot of equipment out there. One thing we're not going to talk about in this Trumpeters podcast is about equipment. I may cover a few things. If somebody asks a question like what do I use and why, but I'm not going to cover that because for everybody it's different. This mouthpiece I'm using is a Marsicuits. It's like a 3D, but with an open backbore. Okay, it's got an open throat on it, and of course it's gold plated. But it's different. Not everybody can play that or be comfortable playing it. So you got to be comfortable when you're playing your instrument. You got to be comfortable that you're playing the sound that that you hear in your spirit. I want to say mind, but really it's what you hear in your spirit that's coming out, that's being amplified. Because we have to understand, how do we journey from our mind to our heart and then to our lips, through our lips? How do we do that? So in our mind, we're thinking of a certain sound, like if we're thinking of Wynton Marsalis or whoever, a certain trumpet player, and then you think about that sound, and how does it get to your heart and through your lips? How does that happen? So you constantly have to be listening. So sound, my short second part, is that it's what are you listening to? I grew up listening to Chuck Mangione a lot. and Maynard Ferguson. Like those were the two main guys that I pretty much listened to a lot. And so a lot of my understanding, then I got into Woody Shaw and Freddie Hubbard and all these guys. It made up the whole spectrum of what it was, who I am as I was growing up. And so now it's like, oh, okay. So I do think about those things sometimes, not all the time. So, but I want you to know, hey, be confident in what it is that you do. Don't let yourself down because you think you may want to try to copy somebody, or you want your own sound and you might be copying somebody. That's okay. Do that. That's where you start. Okay. Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ. So imitate somebody that you know that you like, and try to get that sound. And you might get close to it. You may not get close to it, but you may get close to it. Get as close enough as you can, and then just work with that. Work through that. So don't be afraid to do what it is that you do. So hey, thank you for joining. Share this with somebody. If you like this, another trumpet player or whoever. If you don't like it, well then share it with somebody else. Anyway, and so just do that and be able to for you to do what you do. Don't be afraid. Just go for it.